the Kremlin wants a vote in European elections.
A report by the German Federal Foreign Office found that Russia had used more than 50,000 fake accounts on X, sending more than 1 million tweets in order to manipulate public opinion only in Germany.
Some far-right members and staff of the European Parliament are being investigated for helping, accused of taking money to promote pro-Russia views through a propaganda network called Voice of Europe, allegedly financed by Moscow and then headquartered in Prague. Under sanctions now and banned from operating in Czechia, Voice of Europe is believed to have moved itself to Kazakhstan, but it still lists this building as its official address on its website. However, we checked that out, and this doesn't give any indication there's a business headquarters operating here. Neither are any of these names those that have been sanctioned by the Czech government. In fact, one resident of this building told us that's likely just one more deception.
We have like mostly of the family that he lived here. It's just families with children and nothing special. I mean, like we don't know about this. I mean, like I heard about this first time.
While Voice of Europe may be muted, there are plenty of other voices that concern democracy activists. Veronika Vichova has been working to counter Kremlin disinformation for years and wishes European politicians would take a more active role.
Russian disinformation is spreading much faster and in much more intense way than most of the politicians think. We should have been much further ahead of ourselves. We should have established much more mechanisms to not only identify but also effectively counter disinformation. Sure, there is a rapid alert system and there are various monitoring tools, but it doesn't really matter when we're not able to counter these narratives and talk to our own population and offer some countering ideas, which our government and many other governments still haven't been able to do.
Vichova illustrates how Czech candidates are attacking each other with accusations of Kremlin sympathies instead of presenting positive platforms.
So the current opposition, ANO party, is running with a campaign slogan saying, "Czechia, everything for you." And the governmental parties wanted to do a countering campaign, so they switched it and said, "Russia, everything for you," and put Russian flags on their faces. So this is the campaign that is being run right now before the European elections.
Whoa.
So basically also the governmental parties are sort of spreading manipulation at best.
This is not a good thing, is it?
That's how, let's say, triggering the discussion has become about peace and war.
This kind of campaign gives a win to the Kremlin, Vichova says, with very little effort from Moscow.
Russian propaganda is not trying to persuade anyone about anything, really. They are just trying to stir chaos and distrust. So as long as we are not countering it with some kind of narrative that is going to create a story that is going to make people believe in democracy again, we're losing.
And are you losing right now?
I think we are on the verge of it.
The distrust in democracy is exacerbated by European politicians themselves working to discredit the European Union, sometimes spreading complete fabrications. The Hungarian government is accusing the bloc of planning to force young Europeans into the military to send them to Ukraine. DW's fact-check team dispelled that notion quickly, noting that Germany's Manfred Weber, head of the largest political group in the European Parliament, has called for the German army to reintroduce conscription, nothing else. But Russia's war on Ukraine has given disinformers of all backgrounds much more material to work with, compared with the last European elections in 2019. And COVID pandemic conspiracy theories have also been resurrected for the vote. And there's another trend happening just before voting begins, most prevalent in Germany for now. Supporters of the far-right AfD party are alleging in advance that votes for them might not be counted. AfD opponents are encouraging the party's supporters to sign their ballots, which would invalidate them.
An ongoing campaign of disinformation about postal ballots being tampered, so the election being rigged. This circulated on Meta, for example, but also on TikTok, on Telegram channels, and so on.
Tommaso Canetta is the fact-checking coordinator for the European Digital Media Observatory, a hub for 52 organizations tracking disinformation in all EU countries. He says this tactic of declaring elections invalid is becoming more popular with populists.
This it's most likely something that we're going to see also in other member states before the elections, because as said, since the US presidential election is in 2020, this is a recurring phenomena in every elections or almost. So we are pretty confident that this will happen again and again before the elections in Europe, for the European Parliament.
A violent rejection of an election result, such as took place in the U.S. on January 6, 2021, may seem beyond imagination for now. Canetta hopes voters are proactive in educating themselves so as not to become victims of malign influencers.
Nourishing a healthy skepticism on one hand, but do not also fall in the exact opposite of not trusting anything or anyone, because this is one of the goals of disinformation, wanting people not to trust anybody and thinking that, truth and falseness are absolutely the same.
Canetta also warns that while the use of artificial intelligence in creating deepfakes has not been as prevalent as was feared, such tactics could still be deployed at the last minute, making it very hard to verify information in time. He urges voters to stay vigilant. European elections will be a crucial test as to how much fact-checkers can do to ensure election integrity.